Greetings everyone, I hope you're doing great. I hope you're taking good care of yourselves. Welcome to this video. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my conversation with a machine learning engineer at this year's Pycon Uganda 2024. The conversation was such an amazing one, and I would like to first of all thank Wesley for having allowed to have this conversation on camera with me. Wesley is a machine learning engineer. I met him at Pycon Uganda 2023, and then I met him again at DevFest Kampala 2023. I did not have such a scripted conversation with him, but then I chose to email him and talk to him about having a conversation with him on camera about AI and about some of the things that he does as an AI engineer or machine learning engineer. I hope you enjoy this video, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So greetings guys, this is my conversation with Wesley Kambale, a machine learning engineer. Wesley, kindly introduce yourself.
Thank you, Jonathan, for hosting me. Wesley Kambale. I'm a computer scientist, but I specialize in AI machine learning, and I occasionally build mobile applications. Plus, I lead a community, a tech community, GDG Cloud Barara. And for me to lead that community, I usually do content for it, like, write technical articles, do a few YouTube tutorials here and there. So in a nutshell, that is me.
Oh, that's nice. What does a typical day in the life of a machine learning engineer look like?
Well, I don't know about a typical day for a machine learning engineer. All I know is that I wake up, open my laptop,
Yes.
go through the work at hand for that day. Usually I'm going through data, maybe cleaning data, visualizing data. Maybe the next day I have to build model architectures. Maybe the next day I have to build the model itself.
Yes.
Maybe the next day I'm training the model. But usually when that whole process is done, most of the work that we do is monitor model, do iterations and improve models. And then after that, we close the laptop and have fun.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so another question that people usually ask is that definitions such as machine learning, AI, and maybe deep learning. What are the major differences? Is one a subset of another? Are those terms to be used interchangeably?
Okay.
What's the difference?
Well, AI, artificial intelligence,
Yes.
is a broad concept. So it's a broad field
Yes.
where we're trying to have machines do tasks as humans would. In other words, we're trying to have machines mimic human intelligence or human ways of performing tasks. Then for us to do that, we have a subset under that AI,
Yes.
which is machine learning. So now we are training machines on data to learn different patterns in this data.
Yes.
Because as humans, we have already this data, and that's how we inform our decisions and perform tasks. So machines also have to find those different patterns of how different tasks are performed,
Yes.
and then do that. Okay?
Yes.
So because the data that we have and the kind of patterns that we have are increasing, we are in the world of big data. So we have big data sets. We have complex patterns in
Yes.
those big data sets. So that's how we come to deep learning. So deep learning is also a type of machine learning, dealing with complex patterns, dealing with large data sets.
Okay.
And for us to do that, we use what we call neural networks
Yes.
to learn those patterns in huge data sets. So the difference is just from AI to machine learning to deep learning.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what are some of the real-world applications? We see that people are using AI to do most of the tedious, boring tasks, like let's say coding and maybe writing and stuff like that. But in your perspective, what are some of the real-world approaches that people are using to use AI in the real world?
Well, there's quite a lot. AI is always being implemented in a lot of sectors and
Yes.
industries.
Yes.
We could look at healthcare, for instance, disease diagnosis, personalized medical care.
Yes.
We can look at retail itself. Huge companies like Amazon, eBay, Alibaba,
Yes.
they are now heavily relying on AI to know what our clients or customers need
Yes.
in terms of recommendations and stuff like that. We are looking at finance. Fraud detection is a very huge thing.
Yes.
You don't want someone to use your card maliciously, so there's that kind of fraud detection. There is algorithmic trading for people who do forex trading.
Yes.
So now you can employ algorithms to trade for you while you're sleeping. There is a lot that's happening. Also, I was able to see how AI is being used in supply chains.
Yes.
For instance, Amazon, when they are shipping, all that is now being done
Done by
using
AI.
AI. They are using robots powered by AI to
That's
do
that's
that.
amazing.
Yes, so there is a lot of applications, real-world applications. Currently, we now have, large language models, GPT, Gemini,
Yes.
Llama, which can do, text,
Yes.
image recognition, translation, and all that stuff.
Okay. So one misconception of AI, or one misconception that people have towards AI, is the fact that AI will replace human beings. I would like you to also give me some of the other misconceptions, some of the things that are not real that people get to make up and say maybe AI will be responsible for this. Maybe, I don't know, in your perspective as a machine learning engineer, as a person who does AI, what are some of the things you can tell people who do not understand AI that they need to understand about AI that they think is right?
Well, I think the first misconception, because at the start, we used to think AI are the robots.
Yes.
So people thought that robots are now sentient, which
Yes.
means they can reason or feel just like humans. And that's a very huge misconception. Robots are not sentient. So as a human, you don't have to worry about robots, because that's the immediate thought of, oh, robots can actually replace humans.
Yes.
But they're not sentient. They're simply programmed. They simply learn from data available to perform specific tasks. So in the real sense of application of AI right now, we use AI in specific tasks.
Okay.
So it could be in image recognition, it could be in speech recognition, it could
Yes.
be in this is a specific task. So if you have an AI that is performing a specific task, it won't be able to surpass a human who is capable of doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And also the other misconception is that AI, which is artificial intelligence, reasons the same way as, or compares to human intelligence.
Yes.
We do not know the real scope of how far the human brain can go.
Yeah.
And so there is no way we can even say AI is getting better than us, and whatever AI needs to do
Yes.
has to be what humans tell it to do. So there is no way that AI is going to replace humans, and it just has to learn from the data available. So as long as the data available is limited, it will also be limited.
All right. So, there are very many advances in AI right now,
Hmm.
but I would like to know personally what excites you the most. What is that advancement that makes you feel like this is awesome, this is cool, and
Well, we are talking about machines being able to mimic human intelligence.
yes,
And for a very long time, one of the most complex or difficult ways of making machines understand or try to mimic human intelligence has been understanding natural language, our English, our Luganda, our Swahili.
yes,
And that has been a very difficult task. But with the advent of GPTs, Gemini, Llama models, machines are now able to understand human language and process it. So
yes,
that is a very huge breakthrough. It's going to help us in research, in medicine, in security, in communication. Everyone is, I see a bright future with that. So it's a very huge advancement. Up next, there's something is where the AI community is working on is computer vision, because as humans we see, right? So processing images, processing videos, all that. There's some bit of advancement in them, and I think We are making very good strides, even with complex reasoning tasks.
Yes.
We have AIs that can now solve mathematical problems that previously no professor, no
So,
person would solve.
yes.
So those are very huge advancements and they will help us to get into the next civilization.
All right.
Yeah.
So I would like to know, as a person who doesn't do AI,
Mm.
what are the components of a machine learning project? Okay, like if you're to look at any machine learning project and generalize, what are some of the things you can say, okay, a machine learning project should have this, a machine learning project should have that,
Yeah.
and what are some of the steps that you take to build a machine learning project?
Okay, so for any machine learning project, you really need to have a clear objective
Yes.
of why you're having that object. I mean project. What's the problem and what is the solution for that problem?
Yes.
So once you have the clear objective, the next important thing to have is high quality data.
Yes.
High quality data or sometimes annotated data.
Okay.
Because without the data, then you're not going to solve the problem using AI, using machine learning.
Yes.
And then the other thing is you can think about stuff like, continuous iteration, because we are saying machines are learning, right?
Yes.
So for machines to learn, you need to keep, training them. You need to keep giving them more data. You need to monitor deployment. Once you've deployed your model into production, people are using an app with your model, people are using a website with your model. You need to monitor how it is performing. Is it giving people the right predictions or the right kind of information? We've seen these challenges with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Someone asks a question and it's giving ridiculous answers. So there are machine learning engineers at the back monitoring that kind of performance and then trying to improve. Maybe then the other thing is you could also look at evaluation metrics.
Yes.
So as you're building your model, you need to have very good evaluation metrics of how is my model performing before you actually ship it into production.
Yes.
You don't want to find out in production like some companies have done. So you have to set very clear metrics of saying, if my model does ABCD, then it has actually learned something.
Okay.
Yeah, so that is what I would say you need to focus on to build a very good ML project.
Okay, so next one is when building these machine learning projects, you always use frameworks. In your opinion, or according to your own experience, what are the frameworks that excite you, or what frameworks would you actually recommend to anyone starting in machine learning, and some of the resources you can point them to for them to learn machine learning using those frameworks?
Okay, so there are quite a number of machine learning frameworks and libraries that are available, but right now we are kind of in a three-horse race when it comes to frameworks. If you want to get into machine learning and you're interested in research, that is your focus, you want to do research, I would recommend that you use PyTorch from Facebook. It is a very widely used framework for people in research, and because of that, you will have a community support. You'll find people that can help you in using PyTorch. But if you want to get into machine learning and probably just want to build cool models and deploy them into production, then you could think of TensorFlow. It is really ideal for production if you want to produce something. And on top of that, there is now a high-level API called Keras that now comes into the mix if you want to do quick prototyping. You have a problem, you just want to prototype quickly and see if it is solvable, like you can solve it, then you use Keras. So usually the pattern would be I can do TensorFlow and Keras, or PyTorch and Keras. But there's also a third one that has come into the play, and it is taking the industry by the wave. That is JAX. So JAX is also developed by Google. And compared to all these frameworks that I've talked about, it is fast. It is fast. So if you're building things like large language models, you need to use JAX as your back end. For instance, if you want to know how JAX is fast, you could look at Grok, the AI for Twitter. Yes, it's built on top of JAX. Yes.
Okay. So What challenges do you face when working on machine learning projects? And how do you get to solve them? How do you approach them?
Well, there are quite a number of there are industrial challenges, especially with doing machine learning in Africa,
Yes.
but there also could be personal challenges. But I'll talk about the industrial challenges. One, we lack access to high quality data.
Yes.
There is no machine learning project that you will ever build without data.
Yeah.
And that is a very huge challenge. When I was attending Pycon Africa recently, we have the head of Google AI in the Google office in Accra. And while he was presenting this very wonderful project of mapping Africa, their biggest challenge was data. So if a company like Google faces challenges of high quality data, then you can imagine what it means for a machine learning engineer like me. And then also, when sometimes you get the data that is high quality, but even when it's high quality, there's a lot of bias that comes with data. So it is a challenge trying to mitigate that kind of bias, especially when you're dealing with communities that are homogeneous.
Yeah.
Like in Uganda, 65 tribes, and everyone has a perspective on something. And now you want to mitigate that kind of bias. Yes, and then the other thing would be around the infrastructure. We do not have enough infrastructure. You cannot train your own, for instance, large language model in Africa. You would need a lot of resources, which we don't have. And lastly, I would look at regulations. AI is not yet regulated in Africa, and I don't call for its immediate regulation because we need to first understand what we are dealing with before we regulate it. But it's a challenge because now you don't know what you're building and how safe it is for the people when you put it out there. Is it how does it compare to ethics? How does it compare to the cultures of people and stuff like that? Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of ethics, how do you describe AI ethics? And what do you think of the ethical concerns of using AI?
Well, in terms of ethics, we need to look at one, data privacy, which is now a huge thing with the advent of large language models, because these large language models were basically built on anything we've ever put on the internet. So your tweets, your Facebook posts, your Instagram pictures, everywhere. Anything that is scrappable was scrapped from the internet. So the question is, as these models are learning from this data that I've put out, how am I safe? How private is my life? Or is some AI sitting there with all my information, my contact information, everything about me? And then also you have to think about bias. I've talked about bias in algorithms. That is an ethical issue that you need to consider. If you're going to build a machine learning project, you have to consider where you're building it, for who you're building it, and how they're going to perceive it. Then the other thing can be transparency in decision making. When you're building a model and you're deploying it out, the machine learning engineers and the team that is involved, they have to make decisions on certain things. For instance, when you look at Gemini, there are things that it cannot tell you, and that's not because it's not trained on that. It's been trained on this information, and there is a team that has programmed and set safety instructions and said this should not go out. If someone asks, for instance, how to make a bomb, that should never get out. And it's not like it doesn't. No. So for you who is going to build the next Gemini, what are your ethical considerations? Are you going to consider that as a safety precaution? Because if you don't, we will run to your model and learn how to make bombs. So it's a very huge thing. So we need to reinforce we need to build models that don't reinforce harmful stereotypes. We know we have those who violate our individual rights as people. So, yeah.
Speaking of the future of AI, what do you think is the future of AI? Where do you, in your perspective, according to what you experience, what do you think is the way that AI is going to follow going forward? Like, let's say in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, where do you think AI will go?
Well, we've had a talk around artificial general intelligence. That is like a level higher on AI. So we have AI and AGI. And for AGI, the hope or the bubble within the community is that AGI will be smarter.
Yes.
That is now where the human fear comes in, that this may actually be intelligent just like humans. And I think we have companies, we have people that are doing research towards achieving that. So it is something that I look forward to in the future.
Yes.
And yeah, it's worth looking out for. But it's still a distance afar. We are still very far from making machines understand. Like I told you, still have challenges with machines understanding our natural language. We still have machines challenges around computer vision and all that. So it's a bright future and it's achievable, but we're still far from it. What we can achieve in the meantime, we can achieve progress in our healthcare systems, in our financial systems, in aviation, in security, and all these other places like education system. There is bright future within that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time we met was at Pycon Uganda 2023.
Yes.
But then I didn't talk to you that much. And then we met again at DevFest.
Kampala 2023. Yes.
And I got to ask you all these questions about AI, but they weren't structured. And I remember asking you the question, how could someone get started with AI from the start? Let's say they're coming from a background of web development or any other kind of programming.
Yes.
How can they get introduced to AI, and what are the things they can pick up and learn that could benefit them in their machine learning or AI career
Okay.
that are important?
So the first thing is to understand or learn basic programming.
Yes.
In Python, in R, you could do Java, you could do C++.
Yes.
So basic programming, that is a must.
Okay.
So for people already technical, like you're a web developer, a mobile app developer, you already have that, you can program. But for people who are, maybe I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a social worker, and I want to get into this field, you need to do the basic programming.
Yes.
Then, once all of you have achieved basic programming, you need to go into statistics, the mathematics. Because when you look at, for instance, machine learning, machines learn patterns from data using statistical methods like naive Bayes, random forest, decision trees. Those are statistical methods. They are mathematical equations. So if you don't understand how that equation is worked out, then you won't understand what it is giving you. So you need that bit of statistics. You need to understand things like, if you want to go deeper, like for instance, deep learning, then you'll need to understand differential equations, calculus, computation analysis, and all that mathematics. Now, out of the basic programming and the mathematics that is involved, then you now start, to do the actual building around projects. You choose the right framework, like I've said, it could be TensorFlow for production, PyTorch for research. Then you choose the different architectures. You choose the different kind of libraries to help you, pandas for data, NumPy for numbers. You need Seaborn and Matplot for visualization. You could choose now Keras if you want to do deep learning, that is for you to build neural networks. If you're not going into the deep learning part, you could now choose the statistical algorithms, naive Bayes, decision trees, and all that. Then train your model, evaluate your model, then you can deploy it. Deploying, that would be your choice. You could deploy in the cloud, using, for instance, TensorFlow serving. You could deploy in web, on the web, using TensorFlow JS. But also you could do Fast API if you're dealing like with Django applications or Flask. You could do on-device deployment, like for instance in Android or embedded systems using TensorFlow Lite. So that's kind of like the journey. And then once you've deployed, then you do the normal stuff that we do. Eventually, when you asked what we do now every day, that's now monitor performance and do iterations and stuff.
Okay, nice. To save time, I think I'll end the interview here. I have quite a lot of questions I could ask, but I think the questions I've asked him today are kind of enough and can give you at least a perspective from someone who does machine learning or AI as their job.
Maybe just one thing that I would like to give to the people who will eventually view this, that
Yes.
the future of AI is going to be around natural language processing.
Yes.
There is a movement, there is a need for us to have our local languages understandable by the machines.
Like
We
African languages.
yes, yeah, all global languages.
Yes.
We want, I want to have ChatGPT or a version of ChatGPT in Luganda,
Yeah. That
in
would make
Toro,
sense.
in
Yeah.
Lugisu, and all that. So natural language processing. Then computer vision.
Mm.
We are taking selfies every day. We are taking
Recording
videos. We are
videos.
recording videos every day.
Yeah.
We need to be able to analyze these videos.
Yes.
As we grow in a different generation, I wouldn't say it's a general thing, but there's something around it that our attention span is a little bit declining.
Exactly.
And so for people who are doing YouTube, for instance, yourself,
Yeah.
there's no one going to sit on your YouTube video for 2 hours.
Which is funny, because then on my YouTube channel, the most watched videos are
Yeah.
the longest videos.
Yeah, but then you would see that, yeah, there is that, but there's also been a decline, right? So what is happening is, I would prefer that when I go to your 2-hour video, there is an AI that can actually
And
analyze
chop out what is
analyze that
necessary.
video, and then I get all the highlights that I need, and I move
Yes.
on,
Yes.
right? And then reinforcement learning in game development and stuff like that. And then most importantly, as we are doing all those things,
Mm.
AI ethics.
Yeah.
Without building AI responsibly,
Yes.
we are bound for doom. All these
Exactly.
fears that AI will replace humans, that AI will harm humans,
Yes.
it is quite possible if we don't build responsibly, if we don't build inclusively. You know, everyone's culture, everyone's perspective, everyone's view should be catered into this whole AI bubble.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my conversation with Wesley. There's so much we can talk about according to the topic AI, because there's so much to talk about AI. Yeah, that has been my conversation. I hope you guys have liked it. If you've liked it, please leave a like. Do not forget to subscribe if you're new. I will come with some conversations like this. Last year I did one with Mr. Musoke Senkomago. Yeah, it was a nice one. You can also check it out. I'll leave it at the top of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.